Oi. La, 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 la. Good morning. Sorry, some technical difficulties. Bit of a mess. Also, I'm flying solo today, but I will get to that in a minute. Oh, yeah. La, 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 la. Hi. Bum, bum, ba-dum. Hey, we got a New Yorker in here. What's up, New York? What's up, Stephanie? Good lordy. It has been a morning. Actually, it's been a week. It's been a month. It's been a whole month of weeks. Ugh. Sorry, starting late today. Florida woman is not here with us. She's off taking care of some stuff for her kid. His car broke down on the highway. Not a fun time. He has a lot of car trouble. He's a smart kid. He's studying to be a doctor. Does not know anything about cars. Then again, at that age, neither did I. So, who am I to talk? Patrick. How's it going, Patrick? Oh, yeah. Excuse me. All right. I'm going to give you guys 5 more minutes. Let a few more people jump in. Morgan. Good morning, Morgan. And then we need to get started. I have a very, very busy day today. Much stuff to do. Oh, you got a job. What you doing? And where are you doing it? How long are you with the unemployed? Hi, Morgan. Patrick has a job. Hooray for Patrick. Everyone give him a round of applause. Round of applause. Oh, nice. Power tools. Is that what the kids are calling them these days? Okay, yeah, I'm 5 years old. Whatever. But congratulations. Sorry. I guess it means you're not part of the 23,000 jobs that we lost last month as part of Trump's incredible economy. We'll get to that in the show, though. T-Ree. Good morning, T-Ree. Yeah, no, we're running a little late today. Ooh, good timing. If your unemployment just ran out, definitely good timing to get a job. When I first became a stay-at-home parent, when I left, I had a job at Blockbuster, which was terrible. Worst job I ever had. The worst. Wow, 26 weeks. Actually, I don't know. I that doesn't sound good. I don't know. I've never gone on unemployment. When I left Blockbuster to become a stay-at-home parent, I started looking for a part-time job, so I didn't go to collect unemployment because I was doing stay-home parent. So I guess I was unemployed, but I quit my job. I wasn't let go because Blockbuster was the fucking worst, the worst job. I was a manager there, and it was just, oh my god, it was terrible. I was only there for like 6 months. I had left GameStop to go work there, and it was just, oh my god, I can't even tell you how bad it was. I mean, there's a reason that company went out of business, and it was not Netflix. I mean, Netflix would have killed it anyway, but man, it was the worst corporate environment I had ever worked in. Like their uh, just their entire attitude, their entire uh, the way they approached work, their environment was just awful, absolutely awful. I mean, they let people eat at the counter. And when I put up a stink about it, I was like, do you have any idea how fucking unprofessional it is? I got in trouble for telling workers, put the fucking food away and do your jobs and help customers. What are you doing? I got in trouble. As the manager, I got reprimanded for telling my workers to stop eating at the counter and do their fucking jobs. And it was like, wow, this place is fucking doomed. This place is just completely fucking doomed. And like less than 2 years later, Blockbuster ceased to exist. And was like, wow, who could have seen that coming? So stupid. Um, but yeah, after I left, I was looking for a part-time job, and it took me a long time. It took me months, and it was depressing. Like I had never gone that long without working someplace and making money. Oh, okay. Yeah, 20 weeks sounds really bad. I mean, half a year, 26 weeks is like, I don't know, is that bad? Is that good? But 20 weeks is definitely shit. Uh, but, South Carolina, Republicans, what are you going to do? All right. It's 10:15. I know he got started late, but I do have to get going. I have to get my daughter to a college fair later today. So it has begun. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. Ahem. This is the Opinionated Ogre. Wow, that's off to a great start. Let's try again. This is the Opinionated Ogre Podcast, your weekly rampage through current events with a little snark, a bit of foul language, and a lot of strong opinions. There are new episodes every Thursday, and they're not safe for work or polite company of any kind whatsoever. I am your podcast host, the Opinionated Ogre, and I will be flying solo today. But I will not be getting smuggled out of an airplane on a catering cart and leaving a bunch of other people to act as decoys. Florida woman had some car troubles this morning, which required immediate attention, but also did not require using other people as living decoys, because that is not how we roll here at the Og Pod. Now, this is the recording for August 13th, 2016, and we have a lot to get to on episode 109 of the Og Pod. Are we ready to do this, Ogre Nation? Hell yes, we are. So let's get to it. It's time for the Ogre Nation News Update. Close enough. Sorry. Usually Florida wouldn't be talking by now, and I can change this without actually having to do any of the talking myself. But now I cannot. So I have to do this myself. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry. Okay. Now, quick note about the what I just mentioned, the New York Times Air Force One story. Now we know why Trump lost his fucking shit over it. If you haven't heard about this yet, remember a couple of weeks ago, the story, well, actually, it was more than a couple of weeks ago, the story broke that Trump had to use the old Air Force One because his new one was not up to snuff. It wasn't ready. So, what happened, the rest of the story was, and this is now we know why Trump was so mad about it, they had to sneak him out of his new plane on the catering cart. This is not, we're not talking about the little, like a little tiny catering cart. Like they didn't shove him in a little tiny cart and roll him out. These are the big giant carts they have at airports. They have like luggage on them. They have the catering on them. They're huge. They're like 30 feet long. They raise them up, put them next to the airplane so they can roll the stuff in and out of it. So they snuck him into one of those, rolled it away, and put him on a different plane and flew him out of the airport. They didn't tell anyone else on the airplane. I mean, I'm sure the flight crew knew because they're the flight crew, but they didn't tell the reporters who were on the plane. And the plane took off, and they were none the wiser, and they were used pretty much as bait, as decoys. Now, the part of him being snuck out, I know he's embarrassed about that, right? Because he had to sneak away. But honestly, that's not really the embarrassing thing. It was clever and it worked. And that's exactly how you want Secret Service to do its thing to keep the president safe. They do shit like that in the movies all the time, and we watch it. We go, "Wow, that was really clever." They snuck him out and blah blah blah. The whole point is to keep the president safe, and however they have to do it, whatever clever shit they have to come up with, yeah, it may seem weird at the time, but the whole point is sleight of hand, keep the president safe. Ha ha ha, we fooled you. Okay, that's the point. Even if it seems weird at the time, that's their job. The actual embarrassing part, and I think this is what they didn't want to get out, is that they left everyone else behind to die if something actually happened. Reporters and civilians. The catering carts they're large. They're like 30 feet long. They could have emptied that cart out onto the plane, put every reporter on board, including non-essential personnel like flight attendants, and cleared them all out of the plane. And the pilots would have flown without question. They did. That's their job, and they do it proudly, even for a piece of shit like Donald Trump. But they threw all the other people on that plane under the bus. And I get that Secret Service has to put the president's safety above all else. That is their function. And telling these reporters that, hey, we're sneaking the president out, you're coming with us, they're not going to do that if they have the choice, because that's not their job. Their job isn't to protect other people, it's to protect the president. But if Trump had ordered them to take everybody else, they would have done it, because when the president tells you to fucking do it, you do it. You don't have a choice. He's giving you an order. And it wasn't like it was an imminent threat. Like if someone's shooting at you, if someone's shooting at the president, Secret Service is going to knock him on his ass and drag him away. And they're not going to listen to a fucking word he says when it comes to save other people. They're like, we don't give a shit. We're saving you. That's our fucking job. Also to take a bullet. But this wasn't an imminent someone shooting at us threat. This was, there's a possibility we're in danger. Okay, fine. we'll get these other people off the plane too, because we can do it in a way that no one's going to know. But Trump didn't say anything because he's a fucking coward who only thinks about himself. That's the embarrassing part. That's the fucking scandal here. And I think that is why he didn't want this story coming out, because it makes him look like a selfish, cowardly piece of shit, which he is. I don't like Joe Biden. If Joe Biden had to do this, he would have come out and said, "Hey, this happened, and I did not want to do this, but they told me it was the only fucking way to do it safely. This was not a decision I wanted to make, but I was told this was the only way to do it and ensure my safety, and I did not like it." And he probably would have went on to say, "I want it put on the fucking record. I did not like this. I didn't want it done. I didn't like it, and I objected." But Trump, I guarantee, did not object at all, because he's Trump and he doesn't fucking care. So, whatever. What are you going to do? All right. Now, let's move on. When the Supreme Court upheld birthright citizenship, we said here on the Outpod, this was not the end of the battle, because it was very clear that birthright citizenship had become the new abortion fight. 10 years ago, the idea that children born in the United States shouldn't be given citizenship automatically was a fringe idea on the far, far right. Pre-Trump conservatives didn't give that any attention whatsoever, because it was like, that's whatever, right? That's stupid. But as we've said numerous times, the fringe of the right never stays the fringe. As Stephen Miller has led the Nazification of the Republican Party, ending birthright citizenship has become a real issue for these fuckers. Weeks after the Supreme Court narrowly upheld the Constitution, the black and white letter of the Constitution, allies of the regime held a meeting about their plans to make the issue the next Roe v. Wade, because, after all, they need red meat to feed their base of rabid, lunatic racists. And what better victims than the brown immigrant children? According to a Politico report, because Politico, but sometimes they don't bother lying, several conservative lawyers, including Iowa Solicitor General Eric Westman, a bunch of immigrant hawks, and former Trump aides, have had a meeting over coffee in July, and they plotted how they could begin this campaign to target birthright citizenship. And they made it clear this was going to be a decades-long battle, much like the one they waged against abortion rights starting 50 fucking years ago. And, quote, they turned birthright citizenship into the next Roe v. Wade that we're going to have to spend the next 50 years overturning. Mike Davis, the founder of the Article 3 Project, a Trump-aligned legal organization, said at the event, "They have destroyed our most crucial sovereign power as we the people, which is our sovereignty, controlling who comes and goes and who becomes one of us." Last week, Trump continued his effort to make America white again, and once again announced executive orders to limit birthright citizenship, despite the Supreme Court ruling just a month ago that he can't do that. The first executive order expanded the existing definitions of non-citizens whose kids aren't eligible for birthright citizenship, which, again, the Supreme Court just said he couldn't do. It excludes babies to people who are born to people who work for foreign governments, which I kind of thought didn't work anyway, because they don't they work for foreign governments. We don't have jurisdiction over those people to begin with, which means their kids wouldn't be American citizens, but whatever. Also, parents kids whose parents, quote, are engaged in fraudulent activity to obtain citizenship. Again, that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter what they're doing, because it doesn't matter if they're citizens. If they're born here, if their kids are born here, they could be citizens or not citizens. Their child is a citizen. that's what the Constitution says. It also says the children of members of foreign terrorist groups. Again, irrelevant, because you could be a criminal or not a criminal. Your child is born here. Who your parent is relevant. You're a citizen. And any babies that are born in U.S. territories where citizenship isn't codified by federal statute. That gets a little wobbly, because territories, if it's considered the United States, you're a citizen because it's the United States. If you're considered if you're living in a territory and that's considered under control of the United States, it's a territory and you have the rights of a citizen there, your kid's a citizen. Otherwise, why is it a territory? I don't know. These fucking people. The second executive order directs the Secretary of Homeland Security and the Secretary of State to deny visas to anyone they suspect of coming to the U.S. to give birth. In other words, they're going to stop pregnant women or pregnant tourists from coming to the United States. Now, that's really fucking interesting, because for a while there, I don't know if they're still doing it, but there were a lot of Russians were coming to the United States, because that was a thing for a while. I know they love screaming about birth tourism, but the only ones that I ever heard of that were doing like an actual birth tourism thing were the Russians. And I'm really super curious if they're going to stop Russian women from coming here, or if they're just going to target brown people and like the Chinese. I think if it's Russians, I feel like they're not going to care for some reason. I wonder why. Now, Stephen Miller, American's Joseph Goebbels, was standing next to Trump when he signed the EOs and declared, "It ends what has been one of the gravest and most egregious abuses of the American system, and it keeps American citizenship sacred." He also said the real reason pregnant tourists come to America is to have kids who have access to welfare benefits, can vote, and all the other rights and privileges that belong solely to Americans. And honestly, we here at the Oddpod think it is a real fucking shame that Stephen Miller's mother didn't abort him. Birth tourism is really not a problem that they want boomers, Gen X, and maggots to believe that it is. Less than 10,000 tourists gave birth in America in 2024. That is of the millions of tourists that came here. Millions. So we're not even talking a percent of a percent. And that's according to government data. So Jesus fucking Christ. This is just the latest bullshit issue that's meant to drive racist morons to the voting booth. And like we talked about last week, Trump has closed the border and made it hard to migrate here without documentation. So they need something new to focus on. And here it is. Birth tourism. Ah! They've taken this issue and they've attached it to birthright citizenship in the hope that they can limit this, because it's something deeply, deeply racist white nationalists have been wanting to deal with for decades, but no one else in their right fucking mind cares about. Because as we know, stripping brown people, even the babies, is their wettest of wet dreams. And this is quite literally the same blueprint the right used for abortion. They're going to pick at it over and over and over, non-fucking stop. They're going to carve out a little exception here and another little exception there. And they're going to get the courts to weaken it just a little bit at a time, and while convincing the public that it's a huge problem that just can't be allowed to continue. We have to do something about it. Have to. And they're going to move the conversation to the right again and again and a fucking again, while the press reframes the upholding the plain language of the Constitution as left-wing extremism, because that's what the fucking press does. And once it becomes a full-blown culture war issue, left versus right, it doesn't matter what the Constitution actually says in plain fucking English. All that's going to matter is who has the power to do what they want. And if the Supreme Court is still in the hands of Republicans 10 years from now, they're just going to fucking overturn it. And it won't matter that the Constitution says in the plainest of languages that a 10-year-old could understand, because it's that simple. They'll just get rid of it because they can. So fuck these people. All right, let us move on to Mr. Art of the Deal's incredible, amazing, super awesome economy. And now that he's in charge, it's the best it's ever been. In fact, it's doing so well, we lost 26,000 jobs last month. Oh, wait. No, that's bad. Oh, shit. Okay. So anyway, we were supposed to add 95,000 jobs. And no, that is not what fucking happened. The Department of Labor reports that we actually did lose 26,000 jobs. And that's a huge old flashing warning sign that the job market is choking. So not only did we lose jobs last month, but the Federal Reserve Federal Agency revised its numbers for May and June, revising them down by a combined 103,000 extra jobs. Now, that means last month, which was June, the month before in June, we went from, what did we get? We were supposed to have like plus 26,000 jobs, and we ended up getting like 0. And the month before, we had 170,000 jobs, and that lost 70 something. So it dropped down to 100,000 jobs. So that just sucks. The last 2 months was just crap. So overall, for the last 3 months, we had a combined total of maybe, I don't know, somewhere in the area of 70,000 jobs added in the last 3 months combined. The last 18 months has been possibly the worst set of job numbers since the Great Recession. But hey, best economy ever. Economists have been shocked, surprised. Oh my goodness, how's this happening? But we out here in the real world, we've been feeling this for months. Florida woman says, because she helped with the notes before she went and had her problem, earlier this year, her husband, Mr. Florida woman, filled out dozens, like over 6 dozen job applications all around the state. And he only had a handful of interviews. And none of those led to a job. And his story is not unique. And while this is only anecdotal, she wants you to know she's heard the same story all over local Facebook groups down in Florida from other people. So it's a fucking train wreck out there. And Lila, my daughter, spent most of the summer looking for a job before she finally found something at a farmer's market. And mind you, summer, there should be tons and tons of summer jobs. She couldn't find shit, and she put in a ton of fucking applications, right? And TV says, yeah, but the stock market in the AI boom, oh my God, everything's fucking awesome. No, it's not. And this is supported by Nick Puckrin. He's a former Goldman Sachs analyst and market expert. He told CBS, quote, hiring has gone into reverse. The economy actually shed jobs last month, and it turns out many of the jobs we thought were here in previous months never really existed. But that's okay. Kevin Hassett, a Trump economic advisor and director of National Economics Council, he came out and he did, oh my God, he fucking humiliated himself. That's what he did. He just made an absolute fucking ass of himself. He came out on Fox News on Friday, and I swear to God, he blamed snow, teachers, and the World Cup for bad job numbers. He said, quote, one, there was a big decline in government employment, which is partly because of Doge and partly because there was so much snow over the winter, and that there were extra school days at the end of the year. So the normal time when teachers would take summer off was June, but a lot of that got pushed into July. So when they show up as a layoff in July, and the end of the World Cup meant that a lot of hospitality workers were laid off after the World Cup ended. Oh my God. The Bureau of Labor Statistics disagrees. according to the federal agency, it was actually employment in local government education that hemorrhaged 50,000 jobs. There was little change over the leisure and hospitality industries. And what makes it even more humiliating that Hassett said this out loud is that he is a professional economist. Literally, anyone who has ever looked at a monthly jobs report, like me, knows the Bureau adjusts for seasonal and temporary jobs, like, for instance, teachers being off for the summer and events like the World Cup. That doesn't show up in the data because it would skew the numbers. They actually know how to account for that sort of thing. If I know this, Kevin Hassett knows this, which means he's lying and doing it so badly, a 5-year-old would do a better job if they were caught with their hand in the fucking cookie jar. And if Hassett doesn't know it, he's too fucking stupid to be an economist, and the University of Pennsylvania should demand he give back his degree. Now, if the jobs market wasn't bad enough, the Trump regime is going after Lisa Cook, the Fed governor, again, because of course they fucking are. Deputy White House Chief of Staff Daniel Scavino sent Cook a letter informing her that she has 21 days to respond to allegations that she committed mortgage fraud. The letter stated, "Even if your conduct does not rise to the letter of felony offense, it appears to demonstrate a level of gross negligence in financial transactions that calls into question your competence and trustworthiness as a financial regulator." Abe Lowell, Cook's attorney, released a statement calling the allegations baseless and accused Trump of trying to, quote, interfere with the independence of the Federal Reserve. The move comes after the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 that Cook could not be removed without cause. The regime is just now trying to establish that, quote unquote, cause, even though the DOJ has not indicted her for alleged crimes because they don't have any fucking evidence to support the allegations. This is just trash. They want to get rid of her because she's black, and they're trying to take control of the Fed from top to bottom so they can use it to manipulate the economy in ways that will cause hyperinflation, because Trump is a moron and all fucking dictators try to manipulate the economy, which leads to very, very bad things. But they can't leave it alone. The economy is already starting to crumble, and Trump wants to manipulate inflation. He wants to manipulate the interest rates because he thinks that will help him, and it won't. It will just make things worse. He's in constant contact with what's his name, Kevin Warsh, the governor. Sorry, the head of the Fed right now, the guy he put in charge. And they keep saying, oh, no, he's not really talking to him that often. They're not in contact. They are in constant contact because this guy is his puppet, and they're going to do terrible things, and it's going to be a fucking disaster. But sure, whatever. When it happens, when everything crashes, I'm sure they'll just blame birthright citizenship and immigrants and trans kids, because of course they'll be their fault somehow. All right. Before we move on to our next section, if you would like to throw the Opinionated Ogre podcast a small tip, I am putting on the QR codes for both PayPal and Venmo. They are up on the screen. You can scan them. We have no sponsors or advertisers, and we probably never will. So, but both me and Florida Woman have kids in college. Well, Lila's about to be in college on Friday. I'm so excited about this. If you would like to send us a little something, excuse me, anything would be appreciated. And we thank you in advance. All right. We're going to get to that in self-care of the week. This is the week she leaves on Friday. I'm very, very sad about this, but we're going to get to that. Right now, we are going to get to my personal personal favorite segment of the show. We live in the stupidest timeline.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. May God have mercy on your soul.
Sammy, Lila, her tuition is somewhere in the area of $19,000 to $20,000 a semester. So, Yahoo! Fortunately, I don't have to pay for that. Her mom does, but when Anastasia goes in 2 years, me and Mrs. Ogre will be paying for that. So, college is a coming. All right, so we originally were going to do a section on ice. You scream, I scream, we all scream because fucking ice. But that's a Florida woman, and she's not here, so we're going to do Trump and vaccines. If you missed it, Trump put out some executive orders and federal guidelines murdering children. And I can say that because he's going to murder children. What he's doing, and he doesn't give a shit about this because he doesn't understand it. He doesn't really care. But he's surrounded by anti-vaxxers. And this is all part of Project 2025 because they're a fucking death cult. So I'm reading this off from What Did Donald Trump Do Today? They put out the newsletter. They put this out. Trump's order reduces the diseases for which vaccines are universally recommended to 11. It was much higher. It relegates others to high risk or shared clinical decision-making categories, pushes eventually to separate the MMR, so measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, into 3 individual shots. Now, this is something the anti-vaxxers have been screaming about for decades. Oh, you can't put them all together, blah, 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 blah. I'll get that in a second. It encourages administering childhood vaccines during separate medical visits, urges states to reconsider vaccination requirements for school attendance, and directs the Justice Department to involve itself in legal challenges involving vaccine exemptions. Okay, now, Trump made a huge fucking stink about this in the Oval Office. Like, oh my God, yeah, I've seen the children getting these vaccines pumped into them, in talking about how it's the amount of it's like soda bottles and gallons and vats are so huge, right? Which is, if you have children, you've watched them get these injections. It's a fucking syringe, and they're small. Even for a fucking baby, it's a little tiny. Boop, that's it. They have a vaccine. Maybe 2 shots, at most 3. And they're still tiny little fucking syringes. They're not giant fucking needles. They're not, huge amounts of liquid. They're just syringes. So, no fucking idea what he's talking about. It's just gibberish. And a reporter did like, what are you talking about? What evidence do you have for this? Trump didn't have any. So it's all bullshit. It's all fucking anti-vaxxer crap. And they're going to do studies. They're going to do studies to check on this stuff. It's like, okay, but if you're saying that you have to separate these vaccines and you have to do less of them because it's dangerous, why are you doing the studies looking for proof? If you don't have the studies to back it up, then you're looking for proof. If everything previous to this shows that they're all fucking safe, then you shouldn't have to go and prove it. You should already have the proof. And of course, they're all saying, they always say the same thing, right? RFK on his crazy foaming at the mouth rabid interview last week Oh, that's just what the medical the industry says. That's what the healthcare industry says. You just repeated what they say. And it's like, okay, so anything that shows what you don't want to hear is fake. It's all lies because you don't want to believe it, but you don't have any proof. So we're supposed to believe you. You literally have no evidence whatsoever fucking ever, but we're supposed to believe you over literally half a century plus of study after study after study after fucking study that shows everything you're saying is a fucking lie. Everything you say is a fucking lie that you can't prove even one fucking thing. Not one fucking thing you're saying is true. Everything they say, they have multiple studies in different countries, in different circumstances, involving hundreds of thousands of fucking children and adults and adult men, women, different races, and you can't prove one single thing. And when they do these fucking studies, I promise you, they will suppress the results they don't want. They will not make any results they don't like public. And then they're going to say they're going to cherry pick it, they're going to warp the fucking findings, and they're going to not release the data. They won't release the raw data because they don't want actual fucking scientists looking at it saying, yeah, your raw data doesn't support your conclusions at all. Everything you're saying is fucking bullshit. Sorry, just thing popped on my phone about Mitch McConnell. He's still apparently alive, which I don't believe. But because they won't show any fucking video of him. So until I see video, he's not alive. So they don't have a single shred of proof for this stuff. And they're still fucking insinuating that vaccines cause autism, which again, they've done dozens and dozens of fucking studies, some of them involving hundreds of thousands of children. And there is no link between autism and vaccines. It's a fucking lie. And they can't prove it. So they're just going to lie about it over and over again. Now, the problem here with splitting the vaccines and making and stretching them out is people will stop getting them. It's so for a family like mine, we were able to, because we had good insurance, we could keep going to the doctor. We can, it's a pain in the ass, but we could keep going. We could take our kids to the doctor again and again and again and again and again. And we could have done this, right? If we had to go 20 different times over the course of 3 years just to get vaccines, we could have done that. But if you have to take off of work, if you live in a rural area and it takes you an hour to get to the doctor, you're not going to be able to do that, which means this is if you want to do it, mind you. That means you have to miss work. You have to drive a long fucking distance, which takes time, which again, if you're working, you can't. Or if gas costs $1 billion fucking dollars for your gas guzzling truck, you can't afford it. It becomes prohibitively expensive to bring your kid to the doctor over and over and over and over. And that's assuming you don't have copays, right? Just copays alone. If you every time you bring your kid to the doctor, it costs another $30. That adds up very, very fucking quickly. So now you're looking at hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to make sure your kid has vaccines. And at that point, it's like, maybe I can skip this one. Well, maybe I can skip that one. And then next thing you know, your kid has fucking measles and they're either blind or they develop, brain, they get brain, their swelling of the brain because that's the type of shit that measles does to you. Or they end up getting sterilized because that's the type of shit that measles does to you. And that's never mind all the other delightful diseases that are popping up again. They found polio in New York because people aren't getting their kids vaccinated because Robert F. Kennedy and all the crazy fucking morons are telling people do not vaccinate. It's dangerous. So they're killing children. They're killing them. And a decade from now, we're going to start seeing a rising death toll. And when there's a Democrat in the House, in the White House, and there's children dying, you know who they're going to blame? You know who they're going to blame Democrats for this, as if somehow Democrats are the ones killing their kids with childhood diseases that we've been telling them for years. Get the fucking shots. Get the fucking vaccines. And they were like, well, no, I don't need that. I want my child to live free, or blah, blah, blah. And they're going to start blaming us for it. I guarantee you, when there starts to be mass casualty events from fucking diseases that we haven't seen in generations, they're going to blame immigrants or Haitians or people who've been here for decades and nothing ever happened, but suddenly it's going to be their fucking fault. And they're going to blame us for letting them in the country. And it's like, isn't it weird that never happened until you stopped taking vaccines? You don't see the link there. You don't see how that could possibly be related somehow. Maybe if you do the fucking vaccines and shut the fuck up about being, I did my own research. No, you didn't. You went on Wikipedia, you went on YouTube or TikTok, and you listened to a guy who sounds like he gargles fucking rocks and then chugs fucking raccoon cum. You're a moron. So, yeah, that's what they're doing now. They're just a bunch of, it's a fucking death cult, and I fucking hate these people. I swear to God, I want nothing more than Robert F. Kennedy to die from a slow, painful form of cancer. And I desperately, desperately want it to be something slow, inoperable, and excruciating. The type of thing that he's inflicting on so many other fucking people. Something that cannot fucking be cured. And because he's destroying cancer research, he's destroying vaccine research, and I just want him to suffer so fucking much before he dies screaming in agony because he's a monster, and so are all the people around him. All right, we need to move on here because I will rant about this for the next 3 hours, and while that might be fun for me, it probably won't be fun for you. All right. It is time for headlines for short attention spans. Well, it happened. The YOLO caucus caved like a house made out of paper bags and confirmed Todd Blanche's attorney general. I'm sure nothing's going to go wrong there. After the confirmation hearings we saw and his behavior thus far, we guarantee a period of lawlessness at the DOJ that's going to make Pam Bondi seem like a straight arrow. Blanche, who previously served as Trump's personal lawyer, squeaked through confirmation with a vote of 50 to 49. All Democrats and Republicans, Senator Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, because she's still trying to save her ass, voted against him. Senator Bill Cassidy, the guy Trump got fired, and the genius who gave us Secretary Brainworm / anti-vaxxer, became the key vote that got Blanche through. What a piece of shit. He didn't have to do this. He's not going to be senator anymore, but he still fucking did it. And he did his best to defend himself on Sunday in an interview with Margaret Brennan on CBS's Face the Nation. Cassidy claimed that he was super concerned about the $1 billion slush fund Blanche wants to give Trump and his illegal decision to exempt the Trump family from IRS audits. But ultimately, he had to bend over and spread his cheeks. When Brennan asked him if he was worried about Blanche wouldn't uphold the Constitution, he said, well, of course, there's always this existential anxiety. No, there isn't always existential anxiety about whether or not an attorney general is going to follow the Constitution. That only happens when Republicans are in office because they have no respect for the rule of law. If a Democratic senator had something like that after voting for like Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, or Merrick Garland, the press would have flamed them to a fucking crisp. It would have been the biggest national story for weeks. But, America, complete with bipartisan panels on all networks, no big fucking deal. Cassidy admits he has no idea if Blanche will follow the rule of law. And nothing. Nothing. It's just another fucking day on the news. And why? Because Republicans are not held to a low standard. They're held to no standard at all. All right. So, fuck this timeline. Joe Biden's cancer has spread, unfortunately. Hunter Biden sat down with the BBC last week and revealed the former president is in a lot of pain now that the cancer has metastasized. Hunter explained that even though his dad's health is getting worse, he's still speaking out on issues that are important to him. He's still doing his thing, Hunter said. He so believes in this country. And we just want to say we firmly believe that the way the Democrats turned against Biden is one of the saddest displays of political cowardice we've ever witnessed. After serving this country for decades, the way he was treated was fucking disgusting. And yes, he should not have run again. And yes, he should not have waited until there was 107 days left to go to drop out. But Jesus fucking Christ, the way it was handled is always going to piss us off. And fuck Jake Tapper and everyone else who is so fucking nasty to him. You guys suck. He deserved better, and you guys are shit. All right. So, Iran has casually reminded Trump that we lost the war by making demands. Hey, what's up, Dana? Politico is breathlessly reporting these new demands as dramatic. And here they are. Tell me if these demands seem new or dramatic to you. The United States must never threaten Iran again, the statement said, and must permanently end the war with Iran and its armed allies in the region. The U.S. must lift the naval blockade of Iranian ports and withdraw its military from the area. It must also completely compensate Iran for war damages, lift sanctions, and unconditionally release frozen assets. Now, if you're feeling a weird sense of deja vu, that's because we've literally heard these demands before. We were, in fact, going to give Iran a bunch of this stuff just a month ago before Trump's ego got the best of him, and we, yet again, started lobbing bombs and missiles at them. So why is Iran acting like it's in a position to make demands while offering absolutely nothing of value in return other than opening the Strait of Hormuz? Because we fucking lost this war, and everyone knows it. Why did we lose? Because we approached this war like a drunken frat boy in Vegas with mommy and daddy's credit card. No matter how loudly Trump and Hegseth scream otherwise, all of the reporting is saying the same thing. We severely depleted our defensive and offensive missiles in a reckless opening gambit that completely failed. Now we're running on fumes, and Trump is so bad at bluffing. Iran is just laughing at him. He keeps talking about how we're going to attack with massive overwhelming force and we're going to wipe them off the map and we're going to destroy their civilization, blah, 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 blah. We can't. We tried and we didn't. And now we do not have the capability of launching that kind of offensive with missiles and bombs. And we are not willing to go with a full ground invasion. So Iran knows this, and they don't give a shit about Trump fuming and jumping up and down and crying and whining. They know he can't back it up. There's no military Viagra for Trump. So he's limp, and they know it. Now, a quick side note here. The New York Times reporting on this story talks about how Russia and China are watching us for signs of weakness. And I, for one, would like to know what the actual fuck they're talking about. China? Yeah, China, I'm sure, is watching very carefully. But Russia? Are you fucking kidding me? What the fuck is Russia going to do? They're in the middle of a war with Ukraine, and they're losing. What are they going to do? Invade Europe? Europe that's currently building up its own military? With what fucking army is Russia going to pull off this amazing feat? the one that just lost 1.5 million men in the last 4 years, the army that's chronically underfunded and undersupplied? Are they going to go to war with the United States, perhaps? Sure, we may be low on missiles, but we still have all of our tanks and planes and guns. And hey, our troops haven't been in a major war for the last several years. Thank you, Joe Biden. They're not worn to the bone like Russia's military, and they're still the most highly trained killing force in history. But sure, New York Times, Russia's eyeing our depleted missile stockpile and waiting to make its move. Any fucking time now. Definitely, that's what Russia's doing. All right, let me move on here. Last week, we talked about Representative Max Miller, the Republican credibly accused of breaking his toddler's collarbone and beating his ex-wife. The deadline passed for him to get off the ballot, and he refused to leave the race. And that's a theme with violent Republican white men, that they can't take no for an answer. Does Miller think he can win after being accused of beating his wife and breaking the bones of his 2-year-old daughter? Maybe. We are talking about a Republican base that glorifies patriarchy and sadistic cruelty. And again, we have to point out that the press crusaded against Graham Plattner. And gee, isn't it weird? They don't seem to be nearly as outraged at the guy who snapped the collarbone of a baby. And like we never, ever get tired of saying, Republicans are not held to a lower standard. They're held to no fucking standard at all. All right, let's wrap up headlines with some good news. Republicans have thrown in the towel on the SAVE Act, and they fucked off for the summer. Trump has been demanding Senate Republicans pass the Massive Voter Suppression Act all year, and they've been refusing. The bill does not have the votes. And the reason for this is Republicans are well aware that cutting off every American who does not have a passport from the ability to vote will wipe out way more Republican voters than Democratic voters, especially in rural states. Also, trying to hand control of elections over to the federal government is suicide for the GOP. We've discussed this repeatedly. Trump is not going to be the guy to get America over the fascist finish line. And a Democrat in the White House in control of red state elections is the end of the Republican Party. Not because they would rig the election, but because Republicans wouldn't be able to rig them. When Senate Republicans come back in September, the only thing they're going to care about is doing everything possible to save their majority. And that will mean not passing the SAVE Act, which they won't have time to implement anyway. They're not ready. Even if they were to pass it now, they couldn't possibly actually do it. It's too complex to get done in the time frame they have. So that means they have to focus on maintaining their majority. That means pouring at least $500 million each into Maine, Michigan, and Texas, and praying to God that Trump keeps his fucking mouth shut and the economy doesn't implode until after the ballots are cast. So good luck, you fascist scumbags. You're going to need it. In the meantime, the SAVE Act is dead. It's super unlikely Republicans are going to try to ram it through the lame duck session. And once Democrats take control of the House and probably the Senate, Trump's dreams of seizing control of the elections through unconstitutional laws is dead forever, which means he's probably going to have to go for another coup. And that's not going to be nearly as easy as he thinks it will. So good luck, buddy. We're all not rooting for you. Fuck off. All right. It's time for some self-care of the week. This is a very, very, very sad week for me. This is it. Lila leaves for college. I'm totally fine with this. No, I'm not. I am not at all. Sunday, a couple days ago, I took Anastasia and Lila out to lunch, and we sat and we ate and we laughed for a couple of hours over Japanese, which is our go-to when we go out. I take them out, every couple of months we go out, and it's pretty much always Japanese food because We love Japanese food. Monday night, which today recording on Tuesday, this would have been yesterday. Monday night we had white people tacos and pie from our favorite local pie place, and we had a great time. June was over, so it was all of us. We all had white people tacos over next door at Claudia's place, and then we spent like 2 hours after that playing Heads Up, which is I forgot what game it is. Like it's the one where you like you hold up the thing and it tells you it has a word or a phrase or whatever. Everyone has to tell you stuff in order for you to guess what it is. We love that game. We play it like every holiday or every time we get together as a family. We all love it and it's great. We had an awesome time. It's hilarious that when June is there because she knows like a lot of nerdier stuff, like comic books and nerdy movies. So we do have a whole lot more fun with that because I'm the only other real nerd there. But it's awesome. We really enjoy it, and it was nice because we hadn't seen June for like a week or so, and she's also going to college, and we're not going to see her for a while because she's going to be away at college. So it was nice to be able to say goodbye, give her a big hug and say, adios. We'll see you soon. And Lila's going to spend the rest of the week packing, getting her last minute appointments done. She's on her way up to Baltimore right now. She's going to see BTS, which has been like that was like her first K-pop love. So, and she's always wanted to go see them, but she's never had the chance because they went on hiatus like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So they didn't break up. Like they're from South Korea, and military service is mandatory there. So they all did their mandatory military service. So they were temporarily on break, and now they're back together and they're on tour, and it's a big deal. And she finally gets to see them right before she goes to college. So this is a big deal. So she's spending the day up in Baltimore. She's going to go see them tonight, and she's super excited about it. It's like, it's been a dream of hers for literally, I don't know, 8 years, 9 years at this point, almost as long as we've known her. She's been foaming at the mouth about BTS. So it's a huge deal. She'll be back tomorrow where she's going to finish packing. And then Friday, we drive her down to her school, unpack her stuff, and we say goodbye. And, I'm going to, me and Anastasia are going to go. We're going to bring our car. We're going to pack a bunch of her stuff. She'll be with her mother. She's going to have a bunch of her stuff. Jordan will be with Mrs. Ogre at work. And, we'll bring her down. Mrs. Ogre said goodbye, is going to say goodbye tomorrow. Jordan, Mrs. Ogre will say goodbye tomorrow night. And we'll drive down on Friday. And we'll say goodbye. And, there definitely won't be any crying at all. None at all. Nope, definitely not. And then that's it. Then she'll be gone. And I don't know when we'll see her again after that. Maybe in a month, we'll go down and visit and, take her out to lunch and grocery shopping. But I don't know. And that's not fun. Not looking forward to that. And it's going to hurt because she's my little girl. I've raised her for the last 10 years. And I'm not looking forward to this at all. I'm very excited she's going to school, but I am not excited for her not to be here anymore. And that sucks. So, she's going to VCU. It's only 2 hours away, which is, thank God, she's relatively local. She was like 4, 5, 6 hours away. That would have been so much worse because then we definitely wouldn't have been able to visit her that often because it would have been too far. But, this is a happy medium. It's close enough for us to get to, but far enough that she's not local. But it is what it is. This is the next chapter. This is what happens. Your kids grow up and they go on and they do their stuff. But she's gonna have friends there. She's gonna have June there. They're still stupidly in love, which makes me very, very happy. And she's gonna be okay. And I'm super happy for her, and I'm just gonna miss her a lot because she's my little girl and stuff. But I wish I could say I would talk to her on the phone, but her generation does not do phones. They text, but they don't talk on the phone and they don't do video calls, that sort of thing. Not really. But we'll see. I'll be fine eventually. But yeah. What are you going to do? All right. That is it for today's show. The Opinionated Ogre podcast, like the newsletter, is free and 100% supported by you, our amazing audience. We have no advertisers or sponsors, so please consider becoming a paid subscriber for only $5 a month or $50 a year. If you prefer a one-time donation, we now have PayPal and Venmo buttons for your convenience. Please help others join the Ogre Nation conversation by sharing the Oddpod on the social media platform of your choice or giving us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. You can find me at the Opinionated Ogre on Substack, Blue Sky, TikTok, and we're back on Facebook because Facebook is now apparently monetizing fan pages and they are no longer throttling our traffic. So we're back on Facebook. Yay! Woo! You can find Florida Woman on Substack and on TikTok. The next blue wave is coming. It's November 3rd, 2026. It's going to be fucking massive, and it's just 81 days until we storm the beaches and stomp the filthy Nazis into the dirt. They cannot stop us. Remember, you are never alone. We beat the fascists once, and we will fucking do it again. Adios. All right. Everybody, we'll see you next week on our normal time, Wednesdays. This will be the first show without Lila next door. I will definitely not be sad at all. Don't worry about it. I'll be fine. And presumably, Florida Woman will be back, assuming her kid's car doesn't break down again. And I'll see you guys later. Thanks for sticking around for the solo show. And catch you next week. Bye. Thanks, T-Ree. And yes, I'm extremely happy for her, and I'm extremely excited for her new chapter, and I'm doing everything I can to support her. So she's going to be awesome, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm just going to miss my little girl. So see you guys later. Bye.